I'm the Red Lady, and in this episode 4 of Hecate's Garden, I'm going to talk about the stinging nettle. Now, this video is for information purposes only and not intended as medical advice. We will look at some of the medicinal, culinary, magical and other uses for this plant. And I will show you how I made a super easy nettle beer. As usual, any sources used will be listed in the description box. So the stinging nettle can grow to about 1.5 metres. It likes nitrogen-rich soil and sunny or dapple-shaded spots. It is commonly found in hedgerows and on waste ground or grassy places. Now, everybody knows what a stinging nettle looks like, and it's likely everyone has been stung by a nettle at some point. It's probably one of the first wild plants that people learn about, usually through being stung, and so then you learn to avoid them. But these feisty, pain-inflicting weeds do hold great value. So as a medicinal herb, it supports the immune system and strengthens the whole body. It is said to be anti-asthmatic, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, astringent, diuretic, a galactagogue, so it increases a woman's milk supply when lactating. It apparently helps dissolve gallbladder stones and is a natural antihistamine relief for hay fever. If you break out in hives, you can drink nettle tea or prepare and eat the nettles in a soup to help. It is packed full of vitamins and minerals, vitamins A, C, D, K, iron, potassium and calcium. The list goes on. It is used to help gout, arthritis and anemia. And it can also be used for itchy skin and insect bites. It makes a great tonic, and some people believe that used as a hair tonic, it can restore your natural hair colour and helps reduce dandruff. It has been used to staunch bleeding wounds and to stop nosebleeds. And it was also traditionally used to soothe labour pains and speed up childbirth. So these days, lots of health food stores stock nettle tea bags or nettle to take in capsule form. But if you want to get them for free, and I don't see why anyone wouldn't take advantage of the fact that they grow quite abundantly, you will need long trousers, long sleeves and a pair of rubber gloves. And even then the chances are that you're going to get stung anyway. So pick only the fresh leaves at the top of the plant. You can lay them out flat on a tea towel to dry out and then store them for use when needed. There are literally tons of recipes out there now that make good use of nettles, and I have seen recipes for nettle cordial, beer, smoothies, cake, bread, pancakes, cupcakes, crisps, pies, tarts, risottos. I will put a link below to a great article I found that has over 40 really cool nettle recipes. So I'll link that in the description box below if you're interested. Apparently a good rule to remember when cooking nettles is that whatever you can do with spinach, you can do with the nettles, except salad, unless you blanch the nettles first to get rid of the sting. If you are a gardener on a budget, you can use nettles to make a nitrogen-rich liquid feed for your plants rather than buying expensive brand feeds. Now, the instructions for this are quite simple, and I will put a link to it a link to the instructions in the description box below if you are keen to learn how to do this. I personally haven't done this yet, but I'm definitely going to give it a try. My grandfather used this method, and also my father has used it, so you know it must work. Nettles are also used to make clothes and various other things. I have added a link in the description box as well to a great site called Nettles for Textiles, for those who are interested in weaving this type of material. And there is a film called The Nettle Dress. Now, I haven't seen it, but I did watch the trailer and it looks rather interesting. So the link for the trailer is also in the description box. And I will put a link to a shop which sells natural nettle clothing as well. Now, there are also plenty of magical uses for the stinging nettle. The stinging nettle has long been a plant associated with witchcraft and witches. Back in the Middle Ages, if you were caught in possession of nettles, it's highly likely that you would have been accused of witchcraft. They were perceived as diabolical plants associated with snakes and Satan. Their gender is masculine and they are associated with the planet Mars and the element of fire. They're used in witchcraft to remove curses and break spells. They also hold great powers of protection, healing, and of inducing lust. They make good guardian plants when grown around your property for obvious reasons, besides the spiritual protection they carry. And apparently placing a pot of fresh cut nettles under a patient's sickbed is said to aid in their recovery. Now, I thought it would be fun to make a nettle beer and show you how I did this. And I have made this beer once before, a few years ago, and it turned out just fine. So why not take advantage of these abundant plants and make a large batch of beer that, when bottled and stored properly, can last for up to a year. And it's pretty much, you know, free or super cheap to make quite a lot of it actually. So first of all, you need to pick your nettles. Only pick the top part of the nettles, as these are young and fresh and likely have not been peed on by wandering dogs. I filled a carrier bag, but it depends really on how much you want to make. I will link the recipe in the description box for you. You should then give them a wash and simmer them in a saucepan of water for about 15 minutes. The reason I have so much bubbling away here is because I have, I think it's a 25 litre container, and I wanted to fill it as much as I could, to make as much as I could. So also, when I made it previously, it was pale and I wanted to make it darker and more flavoursome this time around, and so I used more nettles. So I then strained the liquid out through a fine sieve, or you can use a cloth if you want to be finicky about it. And then I added extra boiled water from the kettle to make up the extra volume that I needed. Then you add sugar while the liquid is still hot and give it a good stir to make sure it is all dissolved. Wait for it to cool down completely before adding lemon juice. I squeeze my own lemons because I think it's better to use fresh. Then simply sprinkle the yeast on top and let it sit. Now, it can be ready in as little as 3 days, but you can leave it longer. So for the amount I made, I would say 5 days is good. The yeast is fairly cheap to buy, and I got mine from eBay. I bought 3 sachets, 3 of these sachets for just £4.50, and 1 sachet was enough to make 23 litres or 5 gallons. So I used a whole sachet in this batch. I then bottled it. If you're going to do this, then I must remind you to burp your bottles. That is to let out some of the fizz now and then. Some people say burp them daily. Mine was pretty flat when I bottled it, so I left it 3 days before burping, and then they really did need to be burped. If you don't burp the bottles, it's likely they will explode. This is why I used the resealable cap bottles instead of topping them with metal caps. Now I can tell you it is nice and fizzy. It has a nettle flavour, which you either love it or hate it. I actually like it, and now I have a nice stock of beer to drink that didn't cost hardly anything to make compared to how much you would pay for beer in the shops. So if you invest in the equipment and actually use it regularly, then it does reap its rewards over the years. So if you were planning on having, say, a barbecue, you could make up a batch of this beforehand, and it can be drank straight off the tap. No need to bottle it up, as long as no one's being fussy about, whether it's been chilled or not. So if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, like and share, as it helps me out a lot. And don't forget to check the description box for all relevant links. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.